I'm Brenda. Welcome back to my quilt room. I have got two Scrappy projects to show you today. And the first one is a traditional block called the Churn Dash. Now, I have a goal. I'm trying to use up a lot of my scrap stash this year. This is the block that I'm going to show you how to make. I love the Churn Dash. It's just a really old-fashioned block, and that's things that I gravitate to. And when I've seen some pictures of different blocks, I thought, I bet I could make that. So I have written up all the instructions with pictures, and they'll be in the description below. And let me tell you what you need to make this. You're going to need 2 darks and 2 lights, and that will form your Churn Dash corners. You need a 3.5 inch square for the middle, and then you'll need 3 14 inch by 1.5 inch strips of fabric. And what you're going to do is take your 4 inch darks and lights, and you know how to do this if you've been following me for very long. You're just going to lay them, the light on top of the dark, draw a line down the middle, and cut them in 2 and press them open. And then you'll have 4 of these half square triangle units that you're going to square to 3.5 inches. So you'll have 4 of those. Now your 3 strips, and these, I kind of coordinated these, but as you saw in my sample, they were all different. So they don't even have to be alike. And you sew them in a long strip. You're going to sew them together in one long strip. And then cut them apart at 3.5 inch intervals. So when you stitch them together with your scant 1/4 inch seam, these should come out to 3.5. And then you'll have one block in the middle that's a 3.5 inch square. So you'll set it together by putting your dark into the corners. The dark is going to be your corners. And your bar units will go in the middle with your solid square in the center. And it'll be just a big 9 patch. After you have trimmed these to 3.5 inches, everything will match up real nicely. And you will come out with a 9.5 inch block. So you should be able to use up a lot of your stash and leftover squares by making this. Now, that's just one. I made a couple so I could show you what they look like. Here's one that's in blue with brown. I thought that was really cute. And you can see how the placement of the different colors makes each block look a little bit different. And then here's one that is got musical notes as the background. You could use any of your scraps to make these, and I hope you do. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the quilt behind me. And this is a free quilt pattern. I saw it demonstrated on Shabby Fabrics. And it's a pattern called Garden Moss, designed by Wendy Shepherd. It's of wyndhamfabrics.com. And I will look up and put that link to that so that you can go there and print out this pattern. It's a very wonderful scrappy pattern. You can see behind me. They used 3 charm packs, but what I did, I had 2 charm packs, and then all I had to do was pick out 20 more 5 inch squares out of my scrap bin. And they're cut in very small pieces. It's sort of like a little log cabin block. It's easy to do. And I had some background color that I liked. And the reason that this was in the last video was I've been working on it and I did not want to take all of these squares down and have to put them back up again. And I'll probably lay them out and move them around a little bit more before I start sewing them together. But that is called Garden Moss. It's a free pattern from wyndhamfabrics.com, and I will look up that link and put that in the description below if you want to use up some of just your scraps or your yardage. It does come in the pattern with a cutting description. The pieces are quite small. They're 2.5 inches and 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches, 1.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So if you have a lot of smaller 1.5 inch strips or 2.5 inch squares, you could really knock out a lot with this pattern. But as I work on that, I'll show you progress. So I hope everybody's enjoying their spring. And until I have another creation to show you, I'll see you the next time. Bye.